Hello everyone, my name is Kiani Altmolder. Today I'll be discussing with you all the hamstrings. The hamstrings consist of the bicep femoris, semimembranosus, and semitendinosus. The biceps femoris is a spindle-shaped muscle and it originates in the ischial tuberosity and the femur. It inserts into the head of the fibula, and the main functions of the bicep femoris is knee flexion, hip extension, and hip hyperextension. The semimembranosus is a fusiform muscle of the posterior compartment of the thigh. It originates from the ischial tuberosity and it inserts into the posterior part of the medial condyle of the tibia. The main functions of the semimembranosus is involved in the flexion of the knee, hip extension, and stabilization of the knee joint as well. The semitendinosus is a fusiform muscle. It originates from the ischial tuberosity and it inserts into the superior part of the medial surface of the tibia. The main functions of the semitendinosus are to flex the knee, extend the hips, and assist in stabilization of the knee joint. An interesting fact about the hamstrings is that exercise is a key strategy to reduce hamstring injuries. Programs based on eccentric strength, mainly utilizing Nordic hamstring exercises and stability training, have reported greater effectiveness in reducing injuries. When it comes to activation and strengthening of the hamstrings, the knee extension exercises consist of seated hamstring curls, Swiss ball hamstring curls, and cable standing hamstring curls. When it comes to activation of the proximal hamstring-based exercises, this includes the good morning and Romanian deadlift. What sets these two types of movements apart is the exercises that target more of the proximal hamstring have more knee flexion than the knee extension-based exercises, thus changing the prime mover of the movement. When it comes to stretching or elongating the hamstrings, exercises such as the standing hamstring stretch, forward bend with wide legs, and lying hamstring stretch are used to elongate and stretch the hamstrings. To perform the seated hamstring curl, simply adjust the machine to match your proportions and then close the lever so that the padding is holding your legs into place. Then in a controlled manner, use knee flexion to push the weight down. Then slowly start to extend your knees until they are fully extended and then repeat the motion. Make sure that your core is engaged and that you are using a mind-to-muscle connection to get the full contraction of the hamstring muscles. This exercise targets the hamstrings because it requires knee extension as the prime mover, which is a function of the hamstring muscles. Therefore, it is being strengthened and activated. To perform a Swiss ball hamstring curl, begin by laying on your back with your legs fully extended. Place your arms by your side and use them to balance throughout the exercise. Then place the back of your feet onto the medicine ball or yoga ball and fully extend your hips so that you are in a straight line with your feet. Then begin to pull your feet towards your body using knee flexion while they are still placed on top of the ball. Once the knees are flexed as much as possible, begin to extend the knees out and push the ball back. Repeat the motion until failure. Make sure to engage the core muscles as you perform the movement. This exercise targets the hamstrings because its prime joint action is knee extension, which is one of the main functions of the hamstring complex. Thus, it is being activated and strengthened. To perform a cable standing hamstring curl, wrap an ankle strap around the working leg and use the cable machine as a support to balance. Then with the non-working leg, slightly bend it as you begin to perform knee flexion with the working leg by bringing the heel of the foot towards your glutes. Then slowly extend the leg back to the starting position and repeat the motion. Make sure that the knee flexion and extension are done in a controlled manner to get the full contraction of the hamstring muscles. This exercise activates and strengthens the hamstrings because its prime joint action is knee extension, which is a function of the hamstring muscles. The cables also allow for better engagement of the hamstrings as it applies constant tension throughout the movement. When performing a good morning, you can begin by standing about shoulder width apart with a slight knee flexion. Then begin to hinge the hips by using trunk and hip flexion as you lower your torso until it's about parallel to the ground. Then by pushing through the feet, begin to extend your hips until you're back to the starting position while you're keeping constant tension on the glutes. Make sure to keep the back straight throughout the entire exercise. This exercise targets the hamstrings because its prime joint action is hip extension. However, since it incorporates knee flexion, the prime mover of the movement would be the proximal hamstrings. To perform a Romanian deadlift, begin by standing with your feet hip width apart and holding the barbell or dumbbells in front of you. Begin to slightly flex the hip and the knees as you push your hips back and slowly bring the weight down your thighs and shins. Maintain a straight back as you go through the movement, then drive your hips forward and push through your feet to return to the starting position by extending your hips and keeping constant tension on the glutes as you return. Make sure you do this exercise in a slow and controlled manner as well as you use the mind-to-muscle connection to feel the contraction. This exercise targets the hamstrings due to the prime joint action of hip extension taking place. However, since it also incorporates knee flexion, its prime mover that is being targeted and strengthened would be the proximal hamstring. Thank you for listening and have a good one.